Language wars have been reignited once again in Bengaluru. Pro-Kannada activists belonging to Karnataka Rakshana Vedike have gone berserk in the Silicon City. They have torn down English signboards after civic bodies' 60% signage in Kannada orders. Airports, restaurants, signboards and flexes in public spaces all came under the flag of pro-Kannada activists. These activists also warned shops to put up billboards in the local language immediately. Soon after BBMP's orders, Karnataka Chief Minister had also said that establishments will have to comply before February the 28th. But 2 months to go for the deadline, and some organizations have already started taking law into their own hands.
Demanding that all commercial establishments set up Kannada signages at their outlets. The Karnataka Rakshana Vedike and other pro-Kannada outfits in the state of Karnataka are staging a massive procession today. Remember that the government has already set a deadline of February for all commercial establishments to in fact set up Kannada signages at their commercial establishments or face legal action. In fact, you can see the kind of ruckus that the workers of the KRV and other outfits here have created. They've gone on to disrupt the entire normalcy at this hotel that we're seeing right now, wherein, in fact, people, of course, at this point in time were staying inside this very hotel. We are, of course, going to further tell you that at this very hotel, there are no Kannada signages at this point in time. We're going to try speaking with someone who's been residing at this hotel. Ma'am, what happened really? It seems like there was absolute chaos here.
Yeah, I am a customer here only. I am staying in a hotel for the last 6 days for my treatment. I am a cancer patient. I am staying here for my treatment just to save myself from the cold which is in our state. The doctor told me to go someplace which is peaceful, and you stay there for some time and take the treatment there. I am staying here for the last 6 days, and I was just taking my breakfast on the balcony. And I saw that the mob is coming. Why? What? Is there any protest or something? And all of a sudden, I could see that they have started throwing stones on the guard. Here, they started attacking this board, hair boards, these things. And I said, that are they going to attack our hotel? They may do anything. We have to leave.
It wasn't just hotels, hospitals, shops. It was also ambulances that bore the brunt of these violent protests. Neha gets us this ground report.
Amid the protests over here, you can see an ambulance, in fact, that's struggling to progress ahead. Remember that the Kannada Rakshana Vedike today, in fact, has called on protests in Bengaluru city demanding Kannada signages. Well, even at this point in time, as there are several police personnel deployed here, you can see that the ambulance, in fact, unfortunately, of course, struggling to progress ahead. Remember that this protest comes even as the Karnataka government has set a deadline of the month of February for all of these establishments to put up Kannada signages. But despite that, we are seeing violent protests today. A hotel has been vandalized. A signboard, in fact, one of the bigger billboards over here on the main airport road has, in fact, been ripped down. In fact, we're seeing massive traffic jams being reported and people being inconvenienced at the end of the day owing to this massive protest here. Well, of course, it remains to be seen as to when things are restored to normalcy over here.
Now, this rampant hooliganism of so-called activists comes despite them holding a meeting with the Bangalore municipal body and them ensuring that they will make establishments comply with the 60% signage in Kannada order and having set a deadline for it, which is 2 months away. Recently, BBMP Chief Commissioner Tushar Girinath, who had met these pro-Kannada activists, had said that they will ensure that all commercial establishments in Bengaluru will erect signages before the deadline.
ಕಾಯ್ದೆಯಂತೆ 60% ಭಾಗ ಕನ್ನಡದ ನಾಮಫಲಕ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಯಾರು ಕನ್ನಡವನ್ನ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾರು ಕನ್ನಡದ ನಾಮಫಲಕವನ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರಾಗಿ ಬದುಕ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬದುಕಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮಾರ್ವಾಡಿಗಳಿರಬಹುದು, ಸಿಂಧಿಗಳಿರಬಹುದು, ಗುಜರಾತಿಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಹಿಂದಿ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳಿಂದ ಬಂದಂತರಿರ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡಿ ಬದುಕಿ, ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡಿನ ಭಾಷೆ ಕನ್ನಡ.
Deepak, has anybody been arrested for this rampant lawlessness?
The police have detained multiple people, of course, for staging these protests. Mild lathi charge as well they had resorted to. We are yet to hear from the police department whether anybody would be booked under any more serious charges and arrested. While, of course, there is a issue that they had raised from several days about, many people not following the orders that mandate that all the signages in Karnataka should have at least 60% usage of Kannada. This is a very old rule, of course, the pro-Kannada activists have been carrying out multiple demonstrations through the last couple of months in various parts of the state. They had even recently held a meeting with the BBMP commissioner, where the BBMP commissioner had assured that as a civic body they will take action against any establishments in and around the city which do not comply, and the deadline was set for February 28th. Now, while all of this has come to the fore, today, of course, a protest call was given. Multiple activists, of course, came onto the streets. They blocked the highway. They blocked several buses. More importantly, of course, vandalized several shops and establishments, and that is what is being questioned, whether these protests should have been rather peaceful when a deadline has already been set by the civic body, while, of course, the rules need to be followed and the police are there to take action if they don't, or the civic body, of course, is there to penalize. Can these activists really take law into their own hands, blacken boards, break glasses, puncture tires, inconvenience commuters, make ambulances get stuck on the streets? Whether this kind of behavior is called for is a question that is being asked at the moment.
And that question is also what we are asking our viewers. Elvis from Bengaluru is joining us on the broadcast. Sir, go ahead.
Whatever they are doing is perfect, but if you ask all these people of this Karnataka Vedisha to please sign, they will, I think 80% of these people will be signing in English. I think only 20% will be signing in Kannada. I'm not very sure about that. But what they distract the public is not right.
So what do you think is the intention behind this public hooliganism?
Yeah, it's just all just politics what they are doing here. It's not something, they should not damage anyone's property. They should come and ask them like we'll give you 10 minutes time or one day time to please remove everything, not damage things like this, stop an ambulance and puncture vehicles and, distracting things in the city. It's really very bad. It's shameful to see all this. Because it's the same people who are living in Karnataka and Bangalore, anywhere. I don't know what to say for this, really. It's very bad to see this situation.
All right, it is eventually the people, the unsuspecting people who are at the receiving end of this, but we're getting more breaking developments. There are more images coming out of these pro-Kannada activists, as they call themselves, indulging in vandalism. This time they can be seen blackening the signboards across the city. Deepak, from what our viewer told us, it looks like it is more of a case of making a point rather than standing for an issue, and even that makes no sense because what they want has already been done.
Well, there is, of course, a lot to be, the establishments to be following this rule, because that has not happened to a large extent. There are awareness drives that they were carrying out. They held a meeting, like I mentioned, with the BBMP. While there is a rule, of course, to ensure that the signages are 60%, predominantly would see, especially newer establishments, not following this rule, or at least it fading away. We've seen similar protests that have taken place a couple of years ago as well. While, of course, awareness, if they want to, they are, of course, the government has allowed them to create any sort of awareness, but in the right stride, within the ambit of the law. But to really vandalize property, to create ruckus, inconvenience commuters, this is something that the law does not permit. And the police, of course, will have to really look at how they can initiate action in this particular regard to ensure that such instances do not occur again.
That it is perhaps lack of stringent action against these people that is also encouraging them further. Something that started early in the morning is still going on despite multiple incidents being reported. You heard an old lady there who's staying at a hotel complaining how they feel threatened. You saw visuals of how even an ambulance wasn't spared. We've got more callers joining in. Ramamurthy from Pune. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. This is nothing but a height of hypocrisy and stupidity. Absolutely. Nothing but. And the government is simply watching as a spectator. This is ridiculous. This is actually nothing but ridiculous.
Deepak,
Yeah.
the government is watching as a spectator.
Well, a lot of questions definitely will be asked while, of course, you have protests that have been limited to just the Freedom Park in Bengaluru. Many cases are being filed against residents who stage protests peacefully, just hold placards against civic conditions in the city, whereas, these sort of, protests are allowed where people indulge in vandalism. So questions definitely will be asked to the government as to why, allow these sort of protests, why allow vandalism, why, allow inconvenience to the people, especially on a busy stretch like the airport the road. More importantly, of course, cause damage to property. Who's going to, of course, really, bear the cost for all of this is a question, where the civic body, of course, right now has even set a deadline. There is action that has been initiated by the government. So why are activists taking law into their own hands is a
Deepak, have you heard anything from the opposition in the state on this matter?
Well, this is a very sensitive issue. You do not really see political parties taking sides, especially when it comes to pro-Kannada activists. We've seen this sort of an instance come to the fore in the past as well, and political parties rather refrain from making any comment or remain mum in this particular case, leave it to the police to take action in this particular case. Even the police seem to have allowed, this vandalism to continue for quite some time before detaining the protesters.
All right, so we are not hearing any vocal voices coming out to denounce what has been going on in Bengaluru today. We've got callers joining us on the broadcast. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Mr. Murthy.
This vandalism, what police are doing, I think they should have fired at them. Bangalore is known for so much of a garden city. These people have taken law into their hands.
Yes, and it is perhaps the silence of the political class that is encouraging them to do so almost with impunity. Thank you, Deepak and callers, for joining us. We take a very quick break.